34-year-old rap artist known as Notorious B.I.G, Christopher Wallace, was shot early Sunday morning and later died of gunshot wounds at nearby Cedars-Sinai Medical Center.
Welcome back to Celeb Central, where we uncover the secrets Hollywood hopes you forget. Today, we're talking about P.Diddy, the music mogul surrounded by scandal, and how the late Notorious B.I.G might have warned the world years before anyone listened.
Yo, the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's here, then we might as well shine together.
Yo, check it out. I want to give a shout out to my borough. Brooklyn is up in here.
This isn't just another story about fame and fortune. It's a look into the dark corners of hip-hop, where power, money, and silence ruled everything.
There has been a law enforcement presence at two of his homes, both here in Los Angeles and also in Miami. Now,
Chapter 1. The warning that no one heard. In the mid-1990s, Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G, was on top of the world. He was hip-hop royalty, the face of East Coast rap, and the heart of Bad Boy Records. Behind the scenes, though, Biggie had started to see cracks in the empire he helped build. Sources close to him claimed he often said things like, "Something ain't right, man, I feel it." He wasn't just talking about street beef. He was talking about the industry itself. Biggie was surrounded by people he didn't fully trust. Rumors were swirling that money was missing, that deals were being cut behind his back, and that fame came with strings attached. And right in the center of it all, Sean Puff Daddy Combs. Diddy was the man with the vision. Flashy suits, champagne, private jets, and million-dollar parties. But as his empire grew, so did whispers that he had too much power. Biggie reportedly told friends he felt like a pawn in someone else's game, someone being used to build an image while others cashed the real checks. One of Biggie's close associates once said he started distancing himself from Puff. He wanted to start his own label, do his own thing. That, according to many who were there, might have sealed his fate. Because the moment Biggie started pulling away, the world around him began to crumble.
There's gonna be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing if my burglar alarm starts ringing.
Chapter 2. The Night the Music Died. It was March 9, 1997, Los Angeles. Biggie had just left the Soul Train Awards after party hosted by, you guessed it, P. Diddy. The vibe was electric but uneasy. The East Coast-West Coast tension was at its peak, and for some reason, everyone knew something felt off. Biggie was sitting in his GMC Suburban outside the Peterson Automotive Museum when a black Chevy Impala pulled up beside him. 4 gunshots rang out. Within seconds, the greatest rapper of his generation was gone. What followed was chaos and silence.
This week, that world took another ugly turn when one of the best-selling rap artists was killed in Los Angeles in a hail of gunfire.
Diddy was there that night. So were dozens of witnesses, but somehow nobody saw anything. Nobody knew anything. The LAPD launched an investigation, but it was a circus from day one. Missing files, contradicting statements, and evidence that mysteriously vanished. Even more chilling, there were reports that Biggie had told his mother just days before, "Something bad's gonna happen soon." He felt the walls closing in.
My son was murdered.
Who do you think murdered his son?
The truth will come out.
And here's where things get darker. Multiple insiders claimed that after Biggie's death, Bad Boy Records exploded in success. Diddy released I'll Be Missing You, a tribute that topped charts worldwide. To the public, it was touching, a friend mourning a fallen brother. But behind the scenes, many whispered that it was a business move, a way to transform tragedy into a brand. For years, the murder went unsolved, and Hollywood, from the record execs to the media outlets, said nothing. Because in Hollywood, silence isn't guilt, it's insurance. Chapter 3. The Empire of Secrets. Fast forward 2 decades. P. Diddy was no longer just a rapper or producer. He was a billionaire mogul, owner of liquor brands, fashion lines, TV networks, and a mansion lifestyle few could match. He became the poster boy for success. Started from the bottom, now we're here. But behind that empire was something few dared to question. Over the years, whispers grew louder. Stories of parties that got out of control, young artists pressured into compromising situations, and employees who disappeared after speaking up. Still, nobody in Hollywood dared to say a word. Because Diddy wasn't just powerful, he was connected. The kind of connected that makes lawsuits vanish and headlines disappear overnight. Then came the Cassie lawsuit in 2023. Cassie Ventura, his former partner of over a decade, accused Diddy of abuse, control, and manipulation. The details were disturbing, and within 24 hours of filing, the case was suddenly settled. Quietly. That fast settlement raised eyebrows. People asked, why would someone pay millions overnight unless there was something they didn't want out? After that, the dam started cracking. Other names surfaced. Former employees, bodyguards, even producers hinted that they'd seen things or were told to keep quiet. And suddenly, the internet began piecing together what Hollywood had hidden for decades. That P. Diddy's world wasn't built on luck. It was built on control. Biggie's death, shady contracts, silent payouts. All the puzzle pieces started fitting together. But here's the thing. People in the industry always knew. They knew about the parties, the power trips, the paranoia. They knew about artists who suddenly fell off after refusing certain deals. But they said nothing. Because in Hollywood, speaking out isn't bravery. It's career suicide. Chapter 4. When the mask finally slipped. By 2024, the walls finally began closing in. Federal raids hit Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Footage of agents storming his mansion went viral. The internet exploded, but Hollywood? Still quiet. Most celebrities who once called him family went silent overnight. No tweets, no statements, because now the tide had turned, and everyone was pretending they'd never known.
Now, the searches, as you said, are being carried out at Diddy's properties as part of a federal investigation into human trafficking. And all of this is being handled by the office from the Southern District of New York.
But the truth? They all knew. From producers to A-listers, everyone had seen enough to realize what was going on. They just didn't want to lose their connections, their invitations, or their careers. And when the allegations became too big to ignore, when more people came forward, when old footage resurfaced, when patterns became impossible to deny, Hollywood's silence spoke louder than any statement ever could. Even old interviews started resurfacing. Clips of 50 Cent, Maze, Aubrey O'Day, and others hinting at things they couldn't say. Stories of artists being invited to private parties that didn't feel right. Of people leaving Diddy's circle and vanishing from the spotlight entirely. As one former artist said anonymously, if you've been around him long enough, you've seen things that change you. But you learn fast, don't talk, just walk. And maybe that's what Biggie tried to do. Maybe he saw what the empire really was and tried to get out before it was too late. His death wasn't just a tragedy, it was a message. In an industry built on secrets, truth is the most dangerous thing of all. Epilogue: The Silence of Hollywood. Today, as investigations continue and more stories emerge, one thing is clear. Hollywood always knew. They knew about the rumors, the settlements, the fear. They knew what went on behind closed doors, in studios, in mansions, and at networking events that weren't about music at all. But they said nothing, because in Hollywood, silence is currency. The people who dared to speak up, like Maze, Cassie, and others, were labeled as crazy or bitter. That's how the system protects itself. It gaslights the truth until it sounds like fiction. And that's why the world is only now catching up to what Biggie might have known all along. He once rapped, "It was all a dream." But maybe, just maybe, he realized the dream had turned into a nightmare. So as more revelations unfold and as Hollywood scrambles to rewrite its history, remember this. The most powerful people in entertainment didn't just miss the signs. They ignored them. Because for decades, the industry has survived on one unspoken rule. What happens in Hollywood stays in Hollywood. But that era is ending. The walls are cracking. The truth is leaking. And the silence that once protected the powerful is now what's condemning them. Thanks for watching Celeb Central. If you think Hollywood's veil is finally lifting, hit that like button and tell us in the comments what truth you think will surface next. Because if there's one thing we've learned from this story, it's that the world always knew. They just never said a word.